All right, so you have 2 weeks in Ghana and you don't know what to do. This is how you do it. Hey, what's going on? This is Maoli Vodi with Financially Present, your one-stop shop for financial and investment education. And for me, finances are important, but before that, my faith and my family is extremely important to me. And this is why we took a big trip to Ghana, where my family is from. And this is actually my 5th visit, and I'm doing a whole series on these videos because of this trip, but it's because it's something that's important to me, and I want you to be able to enjoy something that's important for you as well. And if that's traveling, well, welcome. And hopefully, if you find your way to Ghana, you can use this video as a guide or some tips that you can use to make your experience just much more enjoyable. So we're gonna go through so many things, and if you have 2 weeks, you can get a lot done, I promise you. And here's how. So of course, after you've booked your flight and you've done your visa application, you are ready to go, you want to book an Airbnb. Yes, they have Airbnb in Ghana. It's pretty much all over the world, and it may or may not be called Airbnb, but I found a great company called Golden Admiral Properties, and I'll include the link below this video that you can use. And I was able to contact the owner and all of their employees essentially, and tell them exactly what I was looking for. We moved in a group of 17 of us, and we wanted to be relatively close. So they had an apartment building where we were able to rent out apartments on each level. So we had three bedroom apartments right in the same building. And it was like we were all neighbors. It was a great experience. And we were all in the same season of life, married with kids and things like that. So that worked really well. So if you're ever in Ghana and need someplace to stay, I would say check this company out. That way you can get something more fitting to what you want to do when you stay in Accra. Another thing you need to do is have a driver. So we were referred to our driver company, or the car and the rental company, through our Airbnb host. So they recommended this company and we rented a car and a driver. And I love driving, but I don't recommend driving in Ghana if you're not familiar or if it's your first time driving out of a country. Apparently you can get a international license over there, but I wasn't interested. I just wanted to relax. But the way people drive there is intense. And if you're not ready for that, then I wouldn't test it out. Just observe first. It can be very interesting. Either way, having a driver made things so much more relaxing, especially because they just understand the traffic patterns differently. They know where things are better than you would. You know, sometimes they don't need the street signs, whereas you being a tourist might. And it's just much easier. So I highly recommend having a driver. It makes things much easier. But for us, the fee that we paid, it covered the car rental and the driver for the full day, or for essentially our full 2 weeks. And we just had to tell him what time to report and what time that we'd most likely be done. And if we knew we'd stay a little bit later, then we would just let him know and just try to give him a little something extra to help. But that made it really easy if we wanted to run to the store real quick, come back to the house and then go out somewhere else, or go to dinner, or hey, we need to run to the pharmacy and grab something real quick. Having a driver makes it 10 times easier. Another thing you need to do is find some fabric and a tailor. This is really easy, actually. There are so many people in Ghana that can tailor some outfits for you. And I feel like you haven't gone to Ghana if you don't come back with a fresh tailored outfit. So a tailor that we used in the past actually came to our place and measured all the guys, and we got fitted for some custom outfits, and it was great. And basically, they take your measurements, you show them a design, and within a few days or maybe a week or so, your outfit will be returned to you and it is true to size, right? There may be some other tailors where you may have to go back and get fitted, or they'll adjust certain things, but sometimes it's a little easier for guys, I'll admit. But It's a wonderful way to remember your trip and to be able to look into your closet and say, hey, I got that, and that's for me. That was made for me. I know some people like designer things. Well, having something that's tailored directly to you is, to me, a little bit better. Another way to enjoy Ghana is to hire a nanny or a cook, or both. You know, they may be one and the same. So for one of the three households that we traveled together with, or my sister essentially, had a nanny stay with them. And it was perfect because she actually, she took care of the kids, but on top of that, she actually cooked for us. So if you can find the right resources, and again, this is based on your host, right? They can refer you to all of these things depending on where you stay. You can have someone that's there cooking for you. And it's perfect because you can make a list. If you want local dishes, they can do that. If you want dishes that you're comfortable with, they can do that as well. You would essentially just take them with you to the store, or have your driver take them with you to the store. They would make a grocery list, obviously, and you'd pay for those items, and then you can just plan out, hey, we want this meal on this date or this meal on that date. Maybe because we're traveling or want to go somewhere a little bit further out, but you can make this trip whatever you want it to be, basically. And having a nanny and a cook made it way more enjoyable because for us, I would say half of our stay, the meals were completely just cooked for us, and it was great. And our nanny and cook, she felt like part of the family at the end of the day because we spent a lot of time together, and it was so much fun having her with us. Another way to enjoy Ghana is you have to go to a club or a lounge. We had the pleasure of at least having one good night out, just the adults. We went to Zen Garden, and it was only about 5 minutes from where we stayed, and it was dope. I mean, we had a live band, the food was great, the drinks were great, and I mean, the music was phenomenal. These people sang and played for 3 hours straight, maybe even 4 hours straight. It was nonstop action, and it was a lot of fun. So, I mean, at some point we even all just got up on stage and danced with them too. It was a lot of fun, I admit. So we needed that. And that was more of the lounge vibe. Some people like the club vibe. We're a little older, not that old, but we were more on the lounge side type of vibe, and that worked perfectly for us. So I highly recommend it. And there are so many places. Ghana has a really good nightlife. I'd love to experience it in December too, but that's another discussion. When you're in Ghana, you should also look to get your hair done. So this is for the ladies, okay? There are barbers, though I'm pretty sure you can have them come and visit you where you are staying, and they can cut your hair and then leave. But hairdressers do that as well, or braiders. So imagine you want to have your hair braided here in the States. It costs a lot of money. In Ghana, it's very cost effective to have this done, and you can have someone come to your place in the comfort of your home and braid your hair, and it's more cost effective. You're in the comfort of your home. You don't have to go anywhere. Your driver can go pick them up technically and bring them back and then take them back. Again, having the driver is really, really convenient. So we were able to get my daughter's hair done and then my niece's hair done all in the same day, and we didn't have to go anywhere. So that was one of our chill days where we didn't go anywhere. So in Ghana, you have to go sightseeing. We stayed in Accra, obviously, for the bulk of the time. So you have to go sightseeing. We went to the Kwame Nkrumah Museum, which was recently redone as of July 4th, 2023. And it was built around his mausoleum where he was laid as his final resting place, also along with his wife too. So the mausoleum is that building that you see, very beautiful structure. And what I came to find out through the guided tour was that it was designed as a tree that is cut off halfway, signifying the unfinished work that he started while he was alive. So the tour itself, it just provided so much information, a wealth of information about Pan-Africanism and just the hope for a better Africa, a better Ghana, but a better Africa for all. And it's one of those things where you just have to go and see it for yourself. And it encourages you to just continue to read up more on Pan-Africanism and see where we are today as a society on this venture. And I feel like there's still a lot of work to be done. Another site that you can see is Independence Square or Black Star Square. And this is a great place for photo ops, just getting out to stretch your legs. There will be some vendors that will visit you, but it's perfectly fine. That's pretty much anywhere in Accra. And it was a lot of fun to just get out and stretch. But this is a place where inaugurations occur or celebrations on Independence Day, and just a beautiful, picturesque landscape where you could walk out to the beach, but also turn around and see the sports stadium and also the arch as well. So pretty beautiful scenery right there at Black Star Square and Independence Square. Another place you have to stop by is Makola Market. Okay, this is like the biggest open air market that you'll probably have ever seen. It's the biggest one I've seen. Okay, imagine 2 or 3 malls turned inside out. Everyone is outside selling. Sometimes you're bargaining, you're haggling. You can find any and everything you want when it comes to Makola Market. You could be buying chocolate, you could also buy hair to get your hair done, or you can buy fabric so that you can have your clothes sewn, or you can buy a meal because you're just hungry, or you can get a drink off the street, or you can buy a suitcase or a bath sponge. You can buy anything in this marketplace, and it can be very overwhelming if you're not with a local or someone who can tell you exactly where to find certain things. So this is a great place where if you want to get souvenirs or some other things and you know that you want to get them for like a lower price, then you would go there. If you're thinking about, hey, how do you haggle? How do you negotiate the price of an item when you're just meeting someone? I'm gonna dedicate a full video to that, so stay tuned for that. Before you go to Makola Market, I would actually encourage you to go to Art Center. Okay, Art Center, and actually my cousin or my family in general has a shop there at Art Center. So you're gonna see Vody Center Arts and Crafts at Art Center. And at Art Center, you're gonna find all types of things that, like, I would say paintings, wood carvings, purses, bags, jerseys, clothing, all types of things that are handcrafted or sold or made to be sold for art purposes, or just if you wanted to find souvenirs, this is a perfect place to find it. All right, so you may even see people selling things on the street before you get to Art Center. Odds are it's come from Art Center, okay? But either way, it is a great place to stop by, even if it's just for a little bit, and this is where you really are gonna have to haggle. And again, I'll have a separate video for that. On a day where you wanna take a little drive, I would say go to Aburi Gardens. It's Aburi Botanical Gardens. And this place is beautiful. It has trees and plants that you would have to travel the world to see, but now they're all in one place, okay? Trees that you wouldn't even realize that it had medicinal properties, or I didn't realize that a nutmeg tree is where you would get mace from, and mace is what we use for spices or for pepper spray. But ultimately, you find all types of things at a botanical garden like this, and it's just very picturesque. We saw a fashion photo shoot while we were there, but there's restaurants there, and then you can also buy arts and crafts and all types of things while you're there. And it's just beautiful, and it's amazing to see how nature provides so many beautiful things and useful medicinal things as well. If I could encourage you, one thing is to make sure you get a tour guide so that you can really understand the purposes of certain things or identify certain plants and trees. If you're in Ghana, you have to go to the beach. You are already by the coast if you're in Accra, so ultimately you have to go to the beach. And if you're used to American beaches, this is a different experience, okay? When you get to the beach, yeah, you can play in the sand, jump in the water, that's fine, but some of the life is lived on the sand, okay? There are restaurants, there are clubs, there are people playing games, there are vendors selling, there's a lot of that. But then even performers. You might even see people selling horseback rides or ATV rides on the beach. It's a different experience. And if you're more of the lounge and sit back, looking for a good vibe type of person when it comes to the beach, like me, then the beaches in Ghana would be good for you too. So I'd recommend going on Friday, Saturday, maybe even a Sunday, and you'll really get to enjoy it. And most of the time there's like a DJ around, so the beach is generally a fun experience in Ghana. If you are up for a 3-hour drive from Accra, go to Cape Coast, okay? Cape Coast, you'll find has a lot of history, specifically because that's where a lot of the castles where they enslaved people were. So there's Elmina Castle, which is a little bit further out from Cape Coast, and then there's also Cape Coast Castle, where we went to this time. They both have very similar histories, but ultimately one is smaller. Elmina Castle is smaller, and it was actually named after the mine. It's called Elmina because it means the mine. So there was a lot of gold traded there along with enslaved Africans. And unfortunately, the atrocities that happened there also happened in Cape Coast Castle, which we visited this time and was visited by the Obamas, I want to say back in 2009. And it was just very interesting to see. And honestly, there's not much to say. You have to be there to understand it. And being in those holding cells with not much ventilation at all, you can literally still smell excrement there in these buildings hundreds of years later. So that is a stern reminder of what has been that is still here today. And it's incredible to be there. You want to do a guided tour, and you're going to experience the door of no return, and it's just amazing to see, and the pictures won't do it justice. While you're in Cape Coast, you might as well go to Kakum National Park. So this national park to me is like a rainforest. It's about 45 minutes north of Cape Coast Castle, and it's a canopy walk. So imagine you walk about or hike about 250 meters till you get to a certain point, and there's a bridge that goes out directly to a tree. And before you know, you're actually 100 meters, 100 feet in the air, suspended by these bridges. And they have multiple bridges that are connecting these trees. This place is very well kept. The bridges are very secure as well. Unfortunately, my daughter wasn't feeling as well this time, so I sat back and didn't do the canopy walk, but I did it back in 2014. And the views are breathtaking, and you'll also have to understand that when you're up higher, it is humid. So you're gonna sweat a little bit, but breathtaking views. And you'll find a lot of people who may have gone to Cape Coast Castle also ventured over to Kakum Park, because that's just a touristy thing to do. So while you're out there, you might as well. If you're in Ghana and you want to venture out from Accra and you want to go east, come on to the Volta region. This is where my family is from. My mom is from Alakble and my dad is from Agota. And essentially we went, and this is one of the major reasons we went to visit. But to see my parents' home. I visited a few times in my lifetime, not enough. And it's just breathtaking to go to my mom's village and see the lagoon that she lived on, or she grew up around. It's the Keta Lagoon. And you're surrounded by water, and it's just beautiful. It's peaceful, there's a constant breeze, and it's just beautiful, all right? And when you're in the city, you feel a certain level of presence, but then when you go out to these remote areas, it's just a calm that you don't get very often. And especially if you live in an area like me, where I'm in the DC metro area. So it's relatively busy. But either way, being in Alakble was beautiful. And then also going to Agota, where my dad is from, was also beautiful too, because it is a different pace of life. And that actually leads me to the next thing that you need to do when you're in Ghana, and that's to attend a cultural event. I had the pleasure of witnessing my cousin being installed as the queen mother of the village, and we call this an installment, and other people would know it as a coronation, but basically she became a queen. So it was a big festival, a party. It was just a big event. All right, so hundreds of people around were celebrating. Of course, it was a formal event, but there was a lot of partying as well. So it was really, really cool. It was my first time going to one. If it isn't that type of cultural event, maybe you can attend a wedding while you're there or find a wedding to go to, or even a funeral. Those are also big celebrations, all right? And they're multi-day events. So these are big things. But if you have the opportunity, definitely attend a cultural event when you're in Ghana. Having the opportunity to go to Ghana and experience these events, it really taught me a lot about where my parents grew up and how I grew up here in the States, and the reason why it's so important to go back. And that's why I can't do all of this in one video. So stay tuned for the next one. There is so much to go over about this trip. So if you like this video, I want you to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the page, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, stay present.
Siapa minat besi, minat besi, minat besi, minat besi.